Ladies and gentlemen, huge news. Share this everywhere. Washington Post. Elon Musk says he would reverse Twitter ban on Donald Trump. Musk, who was buying Twitter for $44 billion, said he would restore the former president to the social media platform. This is like an hour ago. So this is absolutely enormous news. Quote, I do think it was not correct to ban Donald Trump. I think that was a mistake, Musk said in an event Tuesday hosted by the Financial Times. It alienated a large part of the country and did not ultimately result in Donald Trump not having a voice. The ban, he added, quote, was a morally bad decision, to be clear, and foolish in the extreme, which is something Democrats are very good at achieving. Foolishness in the extreme. Twitter had banned Trump's account. Okay, so again, that you can't say that, oh, we're going to silence his voice when he hasn't been convicted or charged even, or indicted in a court of law. You can't say that, well, he obviously compelled people to do really bad things. Well, then prove it in a court of law. The Attorney General of D.C., the Mayor of D.C., nobody has, Merrick Garland, it's been a year and a half, going on 2 years. Merrick Garland hasn't indicted Trump. Therefore, you cannot just simply suspend him and ban him for, his alleged powers to be this Pied Piper of, impressionable Trump supporters. You can't do that because half the country that voted for Trump has a voice. And it will have a voice with or without Twitter, but you can't just simply try your best to suppress Hunter's story and suspend the New York Post and then silence Trump on that platform. It's not working out. Okay, mashed potato brains Biden has the second lowest approval rating. The only reason Trump had the lowest is because he had all of media against him. We had record low unemployment. He was the first president to step foot in North Korea. Could you imagine if Clinton was the first president to do that had she won? Oh my God, it would be celebrated like it would be the biggest achievement, foreign policy, diplomatic achievement of all time. But it was Trump. You had like 1 or 2 days, no fanfare. He was the first president to step foot in North Korea. President Moon Jae-in of South Korea stated Trump deserved the Nobel Peace Prize. Could you imagine if any other, President Obama had done that? If any president had done that, that would have been amazing. But Trump did it, and it's like, okay, he never got any accolades or respect or acknowledgement for any of the accomplishments, which were numerous. Allocating more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever, making the funding permanent. Signing the First Step Act. Signing an executive order combating anti-Semitism on college campuses. You had the Abraham Accords, Doha Agreement. He reversed U.S. foreign policy, which is exactly why I voted for him. He was opposed by the Lincoln Project. That's all you need to know. But here, Musk has called Twitter a de facto town square. Musk's decision to unban Trump would not only overturn one of the most significant and widely debated corporate rulings in American tech, it could also hand the former president a megaphone he had used for years to capture the world's attention and shut down his adversaries. His adversaries were emboldened. Hit subscribe, by the way, to this channel right now. Hit subscribe to the stock market crash channel. Look, we'll find out the inflation numbers tomorrow. Almost certainly they're going to be up, but if they're down slightly, we're still heading into a recession because oil prices are going up and gas prices are at, again, record highs. I predicted all of this in my Federalist article in October. The financial catastrophe we're seeing, the stock market crash we're seeing in slow motion, and unfortunately, we're going to see the 10 to 20 point drop down within within a day or two, traditionally. Like, people say, well, it hasn't really crashed. There hasn't been a catastrophic day. It's like, well, we'll see, unfortunately, that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% or 12% crash within a day or two, unfortunately. But anyway, Musk's decision to unban Trump. So the Washington Post saying, oh, he shut down his adversaries. No, his adversaries were emboldened. hit subscribe to this channel right now, because I don't think many people are talking about how Twitter harmed Trump more than helped Trump. Twitter harmed Trump, okay? The lifeblood of morally superior, wonderful Democrats, the lifeblood is indignation. They live off of outrage and indignation. They don't have policies. Look at their policies. Crime, homelessness, all the systemic injustices they claim to oppose get worse while they're in power. Like, much worse. Is America better off now with mashed potato brains Biden than Trump? Absolutely not. And the last year of Trump's tenure was a catastrophe, not because of Trump, because of like a hysteria, an apoplectic, hysterical reaction to a very serious issue from media, unelected officials, Democrats, and they gleefully tanked their economies. Oh my God. And that's a whole other story. Then the $10 trillion came in from fiscal and monetary stimulus, which caused the inflation that is now putting people back in poverty. Poverty is increasing, ladies and gentlemen, or I should say poverty is increasing morally superior liberals and far left advocates. It is increasing under this president and under Democrats in Congress. It is increasing. But anyway, I'll take Trump's tweets. Give me a good economy, and I'll take Trump's tweets or DeSantis and his Twitter account. Trump says he has no plans. He's gonna get back. He'll get back on Twitter, okay? And he'll find a way to help Truth Social with it, or advertise Truth Social on Twitter. Anyway, so it's like he'll get back. He'll quote a tweet from Truth Social or something like that. Take a screenshot. There's a million ways he could advertise Truth Social on Twitter. But anyway, there was another. This can end up being frankly worse than a single forum where, banning Trump from Twitter didn't end Trump's voice. It will amplify it from the right. This is why it is morally wrong and flat out stupid. So he's right. But see, again, it's not a matter of the reason they banned Trump was not because they think he's truly a risk to national security, or he's going to compel people to do horrible things, because all throughout that summer, Democrats were actually bailing out people who were being arrested. There was $1 to $2 billion in property damage. So, and people, and then you still have this mentality from Congress women, Congress people. Cory Booker wanted to punch Trump in the face because of his whatever. I don't want to get into the actual quote, but you had a Democratic congresswoman saying, excuse me, oh yes, make them feel unwelcome anywhere, at the gas station, at the restaurants. Like, that's not American politics. That's never been American politics. When you try to make people feel unwelcome or show up at a Supreme Court justice's house, you only ensure that they never in a million years see your vantage point. Your anger, like the left's anger and indignation, is completely irrelevant and actually counterproductive to conservatives or to left or to the Green Party or to anyone that disagrees with them. The thing that left-leaning advocates don't understand is that their ideas, like, you have to get into a debate with Ben Shapiro. If you try to intimidate people, it's conservatives who have adopted the Second Amendment. So, God forbid you show up at a conservative's house or a Republican's house and the person has adopted the Second Amendment, okay, or anyone. The police, like I said, the police told me when a Twitter account threatened me, I filed a police report utilizing the Twitter profile. And they said, you know what you need to do. You know what you need to do. Second Amendment. And I was like, oh, okay. I was still on the left at that point, because that's how the left works. They go after their own. Okay, left-leaning, to be to the left of the political spectrum is like always like being accused of something, or you're not good enough, all that stuff. So it was a left-leaning Twitter account that went after me. and threatened me. And so the police said, yeah, go ahead, arm yourself. So I did. So now I could protect myself and my family if, God forbid, someone wants to do me harm. But see, again, that's not American politics. You can't intimidate your ideas. You can't bully your ideas. If your ideas are so weak and pathetic, or they just don't hold up to scrutiny, some left-leaning ideas are great. Some liberal ideas are fantastic. They're not all wrong. But you have to actually debate your ideas and defeat policies or ideas that you don't like. You can't just intimidate. And so what the formula is ban, suspend, marginalize. So any voice they don't like, any dissent is marginalized, and then there's a fabricated consensus. So they point to a consensus after they've banned and suspended people on social media, and then they say you have to listen to our consensus, and therefore there's no opposing viewpoint. And the never Trump Republicans are too petrified to do anything because they worship media. Media has far too much, it's like the last moments where these legacy media organizations are still, like big publications still have a lot of influence. It's like the last couple of 5, 6, 7 years where CNN or the Washington Post will be actually influential. Very soon, you're going to have a free flow of ideas where gossip and hearsay won't count for anything. So what they're doing now with Trump, everybody from the Rolling Stone to the Washington Post, they're like, oh, we stopped Trump from doing this, says a new book out, says an official. There's no evidence that they stopped Trump or that Trump wanted to do anything or that he was saying something absolutely absurd. It's only gossip and hearsay. And to them, whatever Trump is accused of saying, he said. But God forbid you do the same thing to a Democrat. You can't even read actual emails that they wrote. So Twitter has been used to silence dissent because the ideas on the left don't really, you can't debate these ideas. You try to debate a Democrat and they just fly off the handle. Look at the oil prices. Oh, Biden controls oil. No, but he's being sued by 14 states in addition to oil and gas associations because his policies were horrendous for the oil and gas industry. It's a commodity. It's a commodity. Yeah, but he wanted to decarbonize the planet after Democrats pushed to end economic activity. So that, combined with the 14 states and the oil and gas companies suing the Biden administration for policies that are counterproductive, and it says within the lawsuit that their policies increase the price of gas, and still they blame inflation on greedy companies. It's like, well, if you didn't shut down supply and completely obliterate supply and demand projections, when you said in the most apoplectic manner that the entire economy had to end, to cease to exist because unelected officials and the experts said we should, while silencing all the dissent, we wouldn't be in this situation. But again, it's like they can't look in the mirror. You can have oil and gas companies literally saying, yeah, your policies are causing this increase in price, and they still, within the lawsuits, it's like, yeah, these policies, that policy, this Biden administration policy is increasing the oil and gas price for the country, or gas prices for the country, and they still won't acknowledge it. Well, it is a commodity. He doesn't control it. It's like, well, yeah, the geopolitical nightmare that's taking place, why isn't there any push for some kind of negotiated deal? Because they don't want a negotiated deal. That's why. Because they can say, oh, it's a geopolitical crisis. That's it. No. All gas was going up, inflation was going up, GDP was contracting long before the geopolitical nightmare. Democrats had a bucket list of what they wanted in 2021. And they didn't get anything. They didn't get the infrastructure that they wanted, which wouldn't have helped the economy at all. Which actually, that bill, Build Back Better, would have contracted GDP, which is now already contracting. Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. Trump is coming back to Twitter. And I said he would. Didn't I say that? Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel. I'll be back in about an hour or so. Check this channel ladies and gentlemen, if you've lasted this long, if you enjoy my work, check it once every 2 hours or so just to see when the next upload is. And hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel below. Thank you so very, very much.